My decision to initially reach out was because I was feeling pretty stuck. When I came to work with Ashley, it was on the heels of several actual physical moves. We had sold a house in St. Charles, moved into a rental, moved from there to South Carolina, spent a little less than a year in South Carolina, and then moved to Tennessee. So, in a matter of less than 3 years, we had four moves. And I had really felt like I was neglecting myself. Didn't feel like I was focused or on track or with regard to my nutrition or my fitness. And I just felt like I needed some external guidance, someone with some expert advice for me and guidance for me. So that was really why I started. I was at a place in my life where I knew I really needed it. I think that when I first got on board, I was not in a really great place as far as how I felt about myself. My expectations were not really, looking back now, they were truly not very realistic. I think my idea was that, well, okay, I'm going to get on board with this, and I'm going to lose this weight right away, and it's all going to be great. And I am highly results and data driven, and so that whole method of approaching this was taking the front seat. Um, as it turns out, over these 6 months with Ashley, that has become far less important than some of the other things that I've learned about myself on this journey, in terms of mindset, in terms of expectations, and in terms of really taking a serious, realistic look at where I'm at in my life at this age and what I have, what capacity I'm able to do for myself at this age. I had never really worked with anybody in the way that I'd work with Ashley as far as getting very sound advice by an expert. I had never had that. I'd never been in relationship with a dietitian like that before. Some of the things that I learned is that for a long time, I probably wasn't eating enough calories. Even though I have been a person who's tracked my food and tried to maintain, regular good eating for a long time, I don't think that perhaps the choices or combinations of food were always the best for me. And so those are some of the things that working with Ashley helped me learn that I hadn't previously really known about myself. So, yeah, I think today I definitely calorically eat more than I had before. I do generally feel less deprived. I don't think my brain is constantly thinking about or obsessing about food or meal preparation or any of the, I think about meal prep, but I think about it on the weekend and do it on Sunday, and then we're done. But I think historically, I felt pretty consumed with thinking about it a lot. I think that what I learned is that if I wasn't really feeding myself well, that was manifesting in some pretty unhealthy habits and thinking. Just the really simple things like protein, fats, carbs. The order of eating food, and trying to think about that on a daily basis as you start a meal. That's real different, and it's a simple way of doing sort of the right thing with what you're eating. um, so there have been some very simple things that I've learned that I didn't know before, that have been pretty helpful. Looking at a person holistically is what Ashley does, what you do, and so having the idea that I'm going to take care of my body, I'm going to try to eat as well as I can, and hopefully the result will be that you feel terrific. And I have felt better than I have felt in a really long time in terms of my strength and my ability. And I don't, I know that I am as strong as I have ever been today, and that feels pretty good. That really does it. There's a confidence about that for me that is really invaluable. It matters more than any number on the scale. Like, I had the benefit of already knowing you because we had worked together at Del Norte Personal Training, so I already knew the caliber of person that you were. And so I didn't have any particular reservations about how we would work together with you as a nutritional coach. for someone that doesn't know you, I think that having the ability to maybe hop on the Facebook and see the community that you support, who are not your one-on-one clients yet, but that are people who are connected to you and enjoy the benefits that you're bringing to the community through your knowledge. Um, and maybe having taking that consultation time, ask have a set of questions that, you obviously have the right letters after your name, you have good experience. And one thing I learned about you, which I didn't know before we started this journey, is that your passion for doing this is rooted in a very personal experience that you had in your own life with regard to nutrition. So for me, that meant that this woman has big stakes in helping people be successful because it has mattered to her. So I think that's something you should share with people, I guess. It's a really good piece of information. So I have goals for myself to like things like meal planning and meal prep and having a good idea about how my diet's gonna look on any given day or even, several days out, sort of having that planning, following through with that, and then recognizing how it feels physically that I'm feeding my body in such a way that's really good. And also and making sure that I'm getting enough sleep, but just that whole sort of package put together, just helped me to feel better physically. I felt like I could, had good energy, not a lot of stress. I mean, it was just those are probably really big, important pieces of this for me. I've learned a lot of really good new things about this process that I didn't know before. There's a term out there, you're as sick as your secrets. Well, being able to be really honest with somebody about the things that you struggle with, and how they impact your motives and, the end game for you, that's pretty huge. And in my own experience, I feel like I was really honest with you about the barriers and the struggles that I had. And in doing that, how you reciprocated were with solutions. And it was then really up to me to take hold of that and try it out and see if that was going to work for me. So I would say that you create an environment of great safety for a person to be able to bring those challenges. And there are lots of challenges. People are not going to come asking for help from you if everything's fine. So you got to know that when you're starting to work with somebody, there's going to be stuff, and that's all going to kind of come unpacking as you move through this, relationship. So I think you do a really fine job of creating a safe environment so that people can do just that, kind of look at those underlying layers that have maybe contributed to being stuck for a long time. I would tell them that they got to be ready to really work. When I look at this time together, I had a lot of non-scale victories. Um, I I think that because of my level of movement and other things that I'm able to do, I think that my body has absolutely changed. Um, but has been bigger for me has been sort of a blueprint for moving forward. And I'm accepting the fact that making big changes in terms of how we think about something as important as feeding ourselves and how we regard our own bodies, how we regard our success around, and how we measure all those things. This is really like lifelong. This is something that will be part of who I am until I'm in the ground. I mean, it's just, and so what's different today is I'm not going to start this program and 6 months later I'm going to have, you know, miraculously achieved all my goals. I just that's not something that's realistic. I think what's realistic is that you can begin to really look at how your lifelong patterns of doing things, of thinking, of eating, of moving, all of that, how that sort of all has come together and what parts of that need to change, and then begin to learn through your help, have these building blocks to kind of make that happen going forward. So I think what I would say is be realistic, be patient, be honest. I mean, I guess I just have to say to you, I just, I've shared with you a lot of really honest things about myself that other people don't know about. And as a result of that, I think you've been able to sort of meet me where I needed to be met, and offered strategies that were useful and helpful to me. So I would suggest to, a person to be ready for that. That it's a big deal, and it's a big investment in your own well-being. Which, and we only have this one body. This is it. So we might as well try to take care of it. I guess that's what I would say.